Happy Thursday. Glad you're with us. Let me get to our guest. I love it when our United States Senator Ted Cruz visits the show. I always tell you we go back, first watched, then I think Solicitor General Cruz. We were sharing the stage in May of 2009, Discovery Green. It was a Tea Party rally. And he preceded me, and I was on the side of the stage, and I'm watching this young guy in blue jeans, boots, and a white shirt. Went for like 44 minutes, brought up the Constitution, brought up history, not a single note in his hand. And I remember going, who is this guy? And they go, that's Ted Cruz. And now he just does an amazing job representing Texas in the Senate. Senator Cruz, welcome to the show here in Houston.
Sam, good morning. Good to be back with you.
First of all, props on schooling the alt-left yesterday at the Kavanaugh hearings. I loved how you just let him, by the way, you know, Trump won, get over it, and move on. What was that like yesterday?
Well, it's been a circus. I mean, we have seen these left-wing protesters interrupting every minute or two, screaming and yelling. I think the first day we had 70 arrests. We had a comparable number yesterday. And apparently they're working in close coordination with Democratic senators, that this is part of their strategy, is just to scream and yell. And all of this is a manifestation, really, of the rage that we're seeing on the far left, that the extreme left is angry at the American people for electing Donald Trump instead of Hillary Clinton. And that rage is manifesting every day in the hearing rooms for Brett Kavanaugh, but it's also manifesting on the ground. It's what's fueling the tens of millions of dollars from liberals all over the country that are flooding into the campaign of my opponent, Beto O'Rourke. And that it is that left-wing rage that's dangerous and that all of us have to take very serious.
It's scary, Senator, this coordination among your Democratic Senate colleagues to disrupt. I mean, to have disruption. What Americans want is a hearing, right? That's what he's due.
Yep.
What Brett Kavanaugh is due, a hearing before the Senate, and then a vote. Where in the small print does it say disrupt, interfere, threaten, yell, scream, whatever to make the Kavanaugh children leave the room? Is there anything in print that I don't know about?
Yeah, and that was a sad thing, that he has two young daughters and that they were there for about the first hour of the first day, and then it got so ugly and nasty that they had to take the girls out of the room. I mean, what does that say when the Senate is no longer suitable for kids? That's a sad testament to our democratic processes, and it was interesting. On Tuesday, Senator John Kennedy asked, he asked about the reports that there had been a conference call with the Democratic senators on the Judiciary Committee and those leading the protests and organizing the protests to design and implement this strategy. And so Kennedy asked, is that right? And Dick Durbin, the Democrat from Illinois, he chimed in. He said, yeah, there was a conference call. And he didn't deny in any way, shape, or form that this was all a coordinated bit of theater. But I think it's the reality of Washington Democrats are captive to their base, and they need a lot of screaming and yelling to show the base that they're doing something.
Senator Ted Cruz joining us, our senator from the great state of Texas. Are you worried? Do you ever feel like your safety is in jeopardy when someone stands up and starts screaming, or are you just like, okay, it's protester number 72? How do you handle it inside?
You know, there has not been any significant threat to safety. I mean, for one thing, in the hearing, there are probably 15 or 20 Capitol Police there, so that when someone stands up, they very quickly, if they're disrupting the hearing, they're arrested and they're escorted out. Now, these people are screaming and yelling. Some of them flop down and play dead and make the cops carry them out. And I will say the Capitol Police has done really an excellent job dealing with a difficult situation and doing it in a calm and professional but serious way. And so I don't think there has been meaningful security threats. It's just disrupted the ability to actually question the nominee and examine the record, and that's their objective, is to disrupt. And there's a question. Look, there have been reports that some of these people are being paid. I don't know if that's right or not, but there are clearly a lot of them, and it's part of the Democratic strategy.
Our Senator Ted Cruz with us on the show. And real quick, final question on the Kavanaugh hearings. Does it ever occur to anybody on the left that conservatives, those who embrace God's words and such, pro-lifers, didn't act like this when Elena Kagan or Sonia Sotomayor were up before the Senate, before they were appointed to the Supreme Court?
I think the left, the only thing they can see on the far left is their hatred of Donald Trump. It is all-consuming, and it colors everything. And so they don't view any past presidency, any past nomination as even remotely relevant. They just, every decision they make, it is fueled by hatred of Trump, and it's irrational and visceral and emotional, but it is all-consuming for the extreme left, for many of the Washington Democrats, and for virtually the entirety of the mainstream media. I mean, they all have full-on Trump derangement syndrome.
Absolutely. Our Senator Ted Cruz, real quick, what's your take on the anonymous New York Times op-ed that came out, obviously just stirring up dirt?
Yeah. I don't think it's surprising that there are people in the administration that are fighting the president and resisting his agenda. That's been true in every Republican administration. There have been people pushing back. It has been far greater. It's been far worse under the Trump presidency. And we have seen, particularly after 8 years of Obama, a lot of partisan Democrats who burrowed down into the administration and have been actively fighting. And we've been seeing that at the Department of Justice and the FBI. And that's highly concerning. But at the end of the day, we got a job to do. We need to keep moving forward. It's remarkable, Sam. You look back at the last year and a half, everything that's been accomplished, the biggest tax cut of a generation, pulling back job-killing regulations that had been hammering Texas, that had been hammering oil and gas and hammering agriculture and farmers and ranchers, repealing the Obamacare individual mandate, which I led the fight to do, and nobody thought we could get it done. We got it done. Confirming strong constitutionalist judges, which we're obviously right in the middle of right now. Rebuilding the military with the biggest military rebuild since Ronald Reagan. I mean, all of those are major, major accomplishments. And my approach is ignore the political circus, ignore all the people lighting their hair on fire on cable TV, and focus on substance. Focus on my number one priority is jobs, 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 because that's the top priority of Texans. And I think we're seeing incredible results by focusing on substance. Amen.
Amen. Our United States Senator Ted Cruz. And now let's talk about the campaign. I'm a huge fan. You know that. Known you for a long time. And we were just talking about on the air yesterday that there's a lot of concern in our backyard. We're in Houston. Our radio studios are on the west side. And there's obviously a lot of yard signs. Yard signs don't vote, but there's a strong presence for your opponent, who's an unqualified anti-Israel punchline. But more importantly than that, they're winning the messaging battle, sir. And we're concerned, the messaging battle on social media. And we're just seeing all of this content from that camp going cheap and easy on social media. And we just want to light a fire under your feet, Senator, and let you know, come on, brother, it shouldn't be this close. It shouldn't be where we're getting bombarded with emails. Send money. We need help. It's too close. We know that you're the best candidate. You're the best man for the job.
Well, Sam, it's important to understand what it is we're facing and the threats that are there. This is a real race, and it is a real race precisely because of that rage on the far left. The money that the Beto O'Rourke campaign is raising is massive. It is the most money ever raised in a U.S. Senate race in the state of Texas, and they are dramatically outraising us. So last quarter, our campaign raised $4.6 million, which is the most of any Republican senator. We raised $4.6 million. He raised $10.4 million, more than double, nearly triple. What does that mean? That means a whole lot of things. It means yard signs. I mean, I live in Houston. I see the yard signs, too. You know why they got so many yard signs? Because they spent $4 million on yard signs. We don't have $4 million to spend on yard signs. If you spend $4 million on yard signs, you buy a lot of yard signs.
It's good news. It's good news for the guy who owns the yard sign company. But he's
absolutely. You talk about the media narrative every 2 days. There's another glowing profile from the mainstream media. They are in love with Beto O'Rourke because he's running as a hard left liberal. He's running like Bernie Sanders, and so the media, you get these breathless profiles. Their favorite adjective for him is Kennedy-esque. And none of the media coverage addresses anything about his extreme left-wing record. None of it addresses anything about his extreme policy agenda. So on our end, listen, we're campaigning hard. Last week, I did 17 town halls all over the state of Texas. We were in East Texas. We were in North Texas. We were all over West Texas. We were down in the Hill Country. We're campaigning all over the state. But one of the realities, look, for the last 3 weeks, Beto has been on statewide television $1.3 million a week. In response, we've run zero. So that's nearly $4 million on his side to zero on our side. The reason why is simple. They've got a lot more money than we do. If we spend our money now on TV, we won't have the money to be on TV moving up to Election Day. And so those are the consequences of the massive amount of money that Hollywood liberals
Absolutely
are investing. And so we're taking it deadly seriously. Now, we're going to win this race, but we're going to win this race by turning out conservatives. We're going to see massive Democratic turnout. And so what we've got to do collectively, what you and I and all of us have to do, is make sure that complacency doesn't take hold. If there are a lot more conservatives than liberals in Texas, we just need to make sure the conservatives show up, because we know every liberal in Texas is going to vote on Election Day. And if too many of us stay home, that's how we lose the great state of Texas.
Amen. And our Senator Ted Cruz on the show. And I, for one, I would stay at arm's length from dirty Hollywood money, and that's a given. But if you're out in El Paso and you're in Lubbock and you're in, wherever you all across the state, get video out there and let people back in the home area of Houston, Texas, know that, gosh, look at Ted Cruz. He's covering the state. He's shaking hands, and he's running on an incredible record. So just, document and share it with your base and let them see. So, and that's cheap and easy, sir. That is absolutely cheap and easy to do. And I'm saying,
and we are doing it on social media. I agree with you.
Okay.
We are doing it. But the reality is you've got the mainstream media that has a message. They have a mission. And so that's a lot of free media, which means, now it's worth noting, Sam, every election I've ever been in, and I've been outspent dramatically. When I ran for Senate the first time in 2012, people were mad we didn't have any yard signs. We didn't have yard signs in 2012 because we didn't have the money. And we were outspent 3-1, and we won decisively. In the presidential race, actually, people were mad at us in the presidential race we didn't have yard signs for the same reason that we were being outspent, and we had to save our resources for getting the message to voters and getting it to them closer to Election Day. I will say to anyone listening, if you want a yard sign, every single person listening can get a yard sign right now. You can go to our website. It's tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org. You can order a website right there. They're $9.99. It'll be shipped straight to your house. And so you can get one directly there. And for that matter, I would encourage everyone listening to speak out, to engage in the discussion about why low taxes and low regulations and lots of jobs matters to you, why it matters to secure the border. Look, Beto O'Rourke has said that he thinks we should decriminalize crossing the border illegally. And he said he's open to abolishing ICE. But those are radical positions. So we need to speak out and highlight those positions. Beto O'Rourke is the only Democratic Senate candidate in the country who is committed to saying he would vote to impeach Donald Trump. And he has said he would vote yes right now, today, to impeach Trump. That's why he's raising this money. You talked about viral videos. The biggest viral video for Beto O'Rourke was a few weeks ago to Town Hall, where he came out strongly in support of NFL players protesting the flag and during the national anthem. And the liberals nationally loved it. Hollywood loved it. Ellen DeGeneres retweeted him. In fact, Ellen DeGeneres had him on her show yesterday because he's embracing the NFL players protesting during the anthem. Now, Sam, you and I know that's not Texas. Those aren't the values of Texas. Absolutely. Texans, we stand and respect the flag, and we honor our veterans. And so it's an example of the disconnect between this hard left campaign and the values of Texas. But you and I and all of us have to speak out. And I would encourage your listeners, go to the website. It's tedcruz.org. and make a contribution, because we need the resources to get those messages to Texans to make sure we show up and vote.
Amen. And real quick, as I know you're super busy, and I'm very, very appreciative of the time. When do we get a front row seat for a debate? Because obviously Beto O'Rourke wants to stay at arm's length from you. Yep. You're a steamroller. I've seen you in action. Even when you were running, I was there at the debates when you were running for Senate. I would not want to be going against Ted Cruz. When will Beto sit down and make a little debate happen?
I don't know. Right now, he's running and hiding.
Yeah.
I proposed a month ago that we have 5 debates all over the state. That would be the most debates in the history of a Senate race in Texas. And the reason I did that, typically sitting office holders don't suggest something like that. Many sitting office holders don't want to have any debates. I think we owe it to the voters of Texas. I think the difference between my record and his record is so stark that the voters of Texas deserve the chance to see that. The first debate was supposed to be last Friday. It was in Dallas. I'd accepted it. It was the Dallas Morning News and NBC News were hosting. So it's not like they were right-wing organizations.
Right.
I'd said yes. I was there, and Beto refused to show. He skipped the debate, said, nope, not coming. So his team is emailing back and forth with my team, but he sure doesn't seem eager to debate. And I think the reason is simple. I think what his team is telling him, Sam, is the media is keeping him in such a protective cocoon where the only thing they write about him is positive. That why would he allow himself actually to have his record or views challenged? And so I think we'll see a debate at some point, but it sure seems like Beto O'Rourke does not want a debate and is doing everything he can to avoid it.
And let me tell you, sir, you and I agree on pretty much every single issue that we've ever come across. I wouldn't want to debate you because that's how strong you are. No, seriously, I have great admiration for you. Love you, love your dad, love meeting your mom, and we're out at pro-life events. Keep up the good work, and I'm glad we had a chance to talk about the campaign, and hopefully the folks in our backyard here in Houston and across the country got a good feel for things. Blessings to you, the wife and the kids. Continue what you're doing. Can't wait for the re-election victory party coming up in November.
Well, thank you, Sam. I appreciate everything you do, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Our United States Senator Ted Cruz taking the time to join us on the show. Sam Malone Show, AM 1070, The Answer.